Guten Morgen from Munich again. Just a few hours before I head off back to Beijing, wanted to offer some final thoughts on the global launch of the Xpeng MONA L03 in the Chinese market. In the global markets, the Xpeng L03. I mentioned in my last video that this is the biggest event for Xpeng this year and the biggest product launch in the history of Xpeng. The series of events that Xpeng organized in this program, in retrospect, this is my first time attending an event of such a large scale and magnitude from a Chinese EV brand and a startup brand at that. I've attended events much bigger in terms of scale, but it used to be the German premium brands, as well as some of the tier 1 suppliers that I would always come to Europe. Most of the time in Germany to attend events, they would invite Chinese and global media. And now it's the other way around. It's the Chinese brands inviting Chinese and the rest of the global media to this event. If we look at the scale of it, different venues on different days, the launch itself was held at this Showpalast venue, biggest theater opened in Munich in 100 years. The venue has 1,700 seating capacity and it was filled. Some of the highlights on the press conference itself, from the interview afterwards with Xpeng, one is obviously the pricing, starting at 35,600 euros in the German market. Around that price range, lower to 27,000 euros equivalent in the Norwegian market. But obviously that's lack of tariffs, so there's a benefit of pricing it lower. But even I think at the 35,600 starting point, talking to some of these global media, it's pretty competitive for a vehicle that's smaller than the G6, definitely smaller than the Model Y, which I own back in the US. But for me, as a 189 cm 6'2", sitting in the MONA L03, the front seat, rare, immediately after I sit in the front seat and then go stay in the back, there's plenty of room. It's headroom, spaciousness, there's no question about it. The discrepancy is that the starting price of the model in the Chinese market, it was not announced live at the launch event. It was announced at an add-on in a live stream, pre-recorded, where Xpeng announced the starting price of 123,800 RMB. That's $18,000. So it's kind of the plus version that they added at the last moment, plus the Max version, plus the Ultra SE version, which has the 3 Turing chips, most advanced Xpeng VLA. So that's number one. Two other very important things worth mentioning is the integration of Google Map, which is important because this is bringing a new native navigation experience for Xpeng vehicles outside of China. And the L03 is actually the first from an APAC automaker to ship with the Google Maps Auto SDK and integrating with the Xpeng's own in-car interface and software. This is important that it will provide map data for the NGP or VLA 2.0 and the Xpilot Assist, helping support the company's global rollout of the advanced driver assistance features. And this is a major step for Xpeng's international expansion and making the ownership experience better for drivers outside of China. The other big important things to note is really this DCAS 171 Series 2 regulations from the United Nations, which was mentioned numerous times in workshops and the press conference and the interview afterward. Xpeng is claiming to be the first automaker anywhere in the world to try to get approval for this regulation. And they're expecting this to happen early next year, which means once they pass this worldwide, not only country-specific or European-specific, but worldwide regulation, then they can offer the VLA advanced highway urban level 2++ system in the broader European market. And one of the activities that Xpeng organized was the experiencing pre-version of this on the streets of Munich, 8-kilometer, 30-minute ride-along, a loop, where they had a local engineer behind the wheel as a safety driver. I sat in the passenger seat experiencing the capabilities of this advanced level of NGP. And most of the time of that trip, it was slow. Urban streets of Munich, usually the speed limit is 30 kilometers per hour. So it feels slow, but the system itself, Dr. Liu Xiaoming, the head of General Intelligence Center, said the best autonomous driving should feel like nothing. And if we go by that standard, ride was as close, I think, to that kind of description as possible. Now, it's only limited fixed route that they are showing the media to experience. So there's a bit of a caveat, but I think compared to what I experienced, it was actually my first time experiencing a smart driving solution from a Chinese OEM. Distinction being, I did have experience the generalized versions 4 other Chinese ADAS solutions providers, but they're not OEMs, last year at the Munich Auto Show last September. It just feels like they're all quite capable. And one of the things I think I'll stress is I asked Dr. Liu Xiaoming. He Xiaofeng mentioned that he has a bet in place that by the end of August, VLA 2.0 in China will reach FSD version 14 capabilities in California. And I asked Dr. Liu Xiaoming, where is Xpeng at this point in trying to meet that kind of the target? And his response was, from their internal testing, there's pros and cons. Certain scenarios, Xpeng's system does better, and other scenarios, FSD is better. So this is the second time, actually, that senior executive have kind of responded in a way where it's like, it's hard to have an apples-to-apples comparison to really 100% say, okay, we're better than, we exceed FSD. Similar to what He Xiaofeng said back in the Beijing Auto Show, that really longitudinally and vertically, the system does better or worse compared to FSD. My conclusion is really, FSD is definitely the crown jewel, but trying to get close to it or trying to surpass it is really futile, just doesn't make sense. Because every system is different, it's hard to have apples-to-apples comparison. I think what Xiaopeng is doing is just trying to offer the capabilities as close to as they are in China of the smart driving as they can in the streets of different regions of Europe. Once they get the DCAS regulation approved, then they can offer this selling point. Caveat, obviously, they are offering this vehicle in the standard, in the long range, in the all-wheel performance, as well as the Ultra. So really only the Ultra, which will price higher in the European market with the 3 Turing chips. Only that version will offer this advanced NGP VLA 2.0 capabilities. Other than that, some of the stuff that was mentioned at the press conference as well as the interview afterwards that stood out to me was the build out of 4,000 plus high-performance charging points throughout Europe by 2028. And He Xiaopeng mentioned eventually the way to do it is autonomous high-speed charging, which actually Li Auto is rolling out in China, and autonomous being probably robotics arms charging the vehicle on its own. He Xiaofeng mentioned that they're looking at software licensing, not only in China, but in the EU. He Xiaopeng also responded to a question about going into super hybrids or EREVs, and he just mentioned that as they expand to more global market, there's discrepancies in local infrastructure, charging infrastructure. They're going to launch this model in 65 countries. Not every country has the charging infrastructure like China or the US. So they believe that this EREVs is needed in a lot of the countries. He Xiaopeng, he showed a lot of humility in all of the speeches that he gave. In the pre-event, dinner event, he kind of told a story about his company named after his name, Xpeng and Xpeng in English. And he said, this to me is important because it means honesty, it means responsibility, it means trust. And the other thing he mentioned was their keyword is in Europe, for Europe. And they're looking at a long-term view of the market that they understand that it's going to take 10 years, 20 years to really establish a foothold in Europe. And someone asked about a question about what is the one strong advantage that EU has over China in the auto industry. And He Xiaopeng said, well, my industry, the Chinese auto industry is still a student at this time. And what matters is that the Chinese have been really fast in terms of technology advancement and getting these products to meet the latest demands of consumers. And he believes that the Chinese, Germans, whoever, need to work together to bring better products to the world. And he thanked Volkswagen for being a shareholder to give advice on global supply chains, quality, global culture. Also, he mentioned that there's additional European markets that are looking for even smaller vehicles, which are more suitable. There will be a smaller edition of the MONA SUV series coming for urban markets like Italy, Spain, where streets are tight. And he also did mention that everything's on the table regarding being really local in Europe for Europe. In addition to the Magna Steyr Austria plan, which is producing some of their vehicles, they're looking at possibly other planned locations, including the possibility of utilizing their shareholder Volkswagen's plans, idle plans in Europe. This could expand to their robotics, their flying cars, possibly down the road in the future. Alex Tong, their head of overseas business, did say both Canada and the US are their strategic markets, and they will establish a long-term strategy over there, and they want to be a long-term brand. So obviously they're trying to figure out the tactics over there. In Europe for Europe, I think was the biggest message in the long-termness of it, that he believes the industry every 2 to 3 years will witness a huge shift in what's happening. So he's saying in 2028, they're kind of the strategy on the robotics and the flying cars together with this one physical AI overarching strategy of becoming a physical AI company with one foundation model, VLA 2.0, across all of these mobility formats will come to a fruition in 2028. I asked him about Model Y being consistently the top-selling model over the last 3 years, and He Xiaopeng said he believes that the time and opportunity to beat Model Y is coming, and it won't be that far away until a model beats Model Y globally. All of the products they're launching in China, they're planning to launch in Europe and the rest of the world. So summarizes the key highlights. I just want to end by saying shift is happening as we speak. This is the biggest global event held by a Chinese EV brand this year. It's not the first, it's not certainly not the last in terms of the scale, in terms of the significance, in terms of being in this part of the world, the heart of the European industry. Xiaomi will come next year in about a year's time, so I would imagine they would organize something similar, if not even bigger, for their global launch. By the end of this decade, you will see the Chinese EV brands not only entering, being locally produced in Europe, for Europe, but their advanced tech features like Xpeng MONA L03, they will be on the ground with the European automakers. And at the same time, the humility that He Xiaopeng shows that they do understand it's not a 1 year, 2 year, 5 year process where they just come in and take over the market. No, it's not going to happen like that. And it's going to be working with the right partners, having the right dealer footprint, the right products for the customer demand, the right service, and the right size product, and just to find a niche to grow their global presence. Eventually, half of their global sales will be outside of China. And at the same time, they're facing this intense competition, pricing-wise, volume-wise, in the Chinese domestic market. So there's a bit of both we're coming for you, the European automakers, but at the same time, we're going to take the time to learn and establish ourselves in Europe and the rest of the world. But this tsunami is going to come no matter what. Eventually, it'll be in the US market, just a matter of time. So we're probably going to see some kind of a new equilibrium in the next few years of where the European and the global foreign automakers are in China and the world in competing with the Chinese brands. MONA L03 is one of those products that has huge potential and expectations to be a global sales volume driver for Xpeng. Not to the point of Model Y yet, it might be some other model, but with what they have done throughout this event, a program, and the media reception, the pricing, the vehicle itself, spaciousness, the tech offerings, comfort, premiumness, there's no reason why it can't sell well. Looking forward to now heading back over to China, and my next Xpeng related thing that I'll be doing is I'll have the GX for a few days to drive around and just experience that vehicle, and as well as the updated VLA 2.0 capabilities in the Chinese market. And in about 3 months' time, we'll be back to this part of the world at the Paris Motor Show. We'll talk to you next time.